welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you are returning, double welcome for you. I'm so glad you're back. Today I'd like to talk about the longer way. So a lot of times when we ask God to lead us, we expect Him to take the easy way. We expect Him to take the short way, because it's obvious. So it would make things easier, it would make things faster. And we tend to be impatient, especially in the generation that we're living in right now. We want everything. We want everything now. So it's my money, I need it, and I need it now. So we want everything right now. We want to put something in the microwave. We want it to be cooked right now. We want to get everything we need or want in the instant that we want it. So there's a lot of instant gratification going on in our generation. So sometimes we approach God with the same mindset, we approach God with the same perspective. But there are times that we ask God to lead us and He takes us to the longer way. So we see the children of Israel, God, before even the longer way. So God sent Moses. He said He listened, He heard the cry of His people. And He sent Moses to tell Pharaoh to let His people go. When Moses went, instead of a deliverance, they get harder work. So God's ways are really not our ways. So when you're expecting a deliverance sometimes from God, you would think that it will just come right away. It will just come at the time that He speak the word. But sometimes things get harder as you are closer to God's promise. And that's what happened to the people. So they get harder work. And on top of that, when finally Pharaoh let them go, instead of God taking them to the shorter way, God chose the longer way. But God did not leave us clueless. He tells us that He took them to the longer way so that when they face adversities, they did not go back to Egypt. So a lot of times we like what is familiar. We like what is considered comfortable because we're kind of used to it, no matter how hard the relationship was. Because we're already used to that, we don't see it as bad, no matter how abusive the partner was. Because we're used to it, we think that, well, I'm used to it, I can handle it. But that's not where God is calling us to. He's not calling us to a place where we get comfortable. He's not calling us to a place where we get used to things, but He's calling us in constantly. He reminds us that, listen, I'm doing something new. Don't you see it? Forget the things that I've already done. Forget what is in the past because I'm doing something new. Forget the old. And so God is calling us to that place, but sometimes it takes the longer way. You may be asking God for a spouse, you may be asking God for a job, and then it's taking longer. God is taking you the longer way. You put in the application, they could have just called you and then you just get the interview. But then sometimes God takes you to the longer way so that when things get hard, when the boss is getting on your nerves, you don't just get up and quit, because you're gonna remember, it took me a while before I got this job, so I have to maintain it. I have to hold on to it when I face adversities. So when God is calling us to go to that place of promise, He doesn't want us, when we get there, for us to turn back because things get hard. Because just because God promised it doesn't mean that it's gonna be easy. Just because God promised it, it says this is your possession and you're going to possess it, but that does not mean that there are no giants that you're gonna need to kill. There are giants there. Yes, this is the promised land. I promised it to your forefathers, but for you to possess your possession, you need to fight. You need to slay giants. You need to get into the battle. Like, you need to face things head on, and then those challenges are gonna come. But if you just think things are gonna be easy, then when you get there, when things get hard, it's gonna be easy for you to revert back and for you to quit, although this is better than where you were. But because things get hard, then you're gonna quit. So God doesn't want us to quit when things get hard. So the Bible tells us that he took them to the long way so that they do not return when they face adversities. There were wars waiting for them. There were challenges waiting for them. So when we pray, we ask God, God, I want a godly husband. And if this man is already in ministry, or God already called him, or there's a calling on his life or your life to be in ministry because you ask God for that godly man, there are certain things that's going to come with that. I mean, I can't speak from experience, obviously, but I've seen there are certain things that I don't have to personally experience it for me to see it. I learned from the people around me. So you ask God for a godly man, there are certain things. So when he decide, like, you know, like he has a day of like fasting, he has days of prayer when the Holy Spirit is calling him to pray, but like instead of spending that time with you, he's spending that time with God. So that comes with it, with what you're asking God, then it can be a challenge. So we need to take in consideration that things are not going to be easy. And when you ask God for a godly marriage, because it's something that you're asking God that's going to glorify God, automatically you declaring war to the other kingdom. So that is it. So your marriage will not be easy. Things are not gonna be roses every day. So when those challenges come, would you want to just divorce your husband because you know, things get hard? So sometimes you ask God for that man. God put you in that place of waiting. God put you in that place of him like preparing you and making you. Yes, you've had heartbreaks. You have, like, you know, all these time wasters. Um, so you have all these other people that are wasting your time, like trying to, like, you know, talk to you, and then you find out like, oh, they were married. Oh, he's not even a Christian. He's just pretending to be a Christian. Oh, he's unholy. Oh, he's sleeping around. So you, and then you like get tired. You're like, God, why, you know, why does it take so long for me to like get up? Why can't you just send me a godly man? But then God wants you to like remember, you prayed for this. You fasted for this. You remember all the other ones that, you know, weren't good, that you wasted time on. Now that you have a godly man, because it's not perfect, you're not gonna just up and leave, because then you remember. I remember it took a long way. It was a long way. So sometimes God will take you to the long way so that you can remember, so that you can appreciate, so that you can discern, so that you can be wise enough when those challenges and adversities that comes with it, that comes with the marriage, that comes with the relationship, so that you don't just give up because it gets hard. So God takes you to the longer way. It's harder for you to go back because it took you a long way for you to get to where you are. So when you actually get there, you're not gonna give up easily, because you remember how many giants you had to slay. You had to pray to break generational curses. You had to pray for you know, for old covenants, that you had to break old covenants so that you can be in that godly relationship, so that then when you remember that, you're not gonna just like give up easily, because he's not gonna be perfect. I wish, but you may ask God for him, you pray, you fast, no matter what, he's not gonna be perfect. And the whole union of like coming from different household, like the maybe even different culture, maybe even different, you know, parts of the world, different family dynamics, and different past and experiences, and his own issues, and yours too, you know. So it's not gonna be easy, but God doesn't want you to give up easily. So he takes you to the longer way, just like he did for the children of Israel. God could have just take them, but he's like, I'm not gonna risk that. If they see how easy it is to go from Egypt to the promised land, when they face just giants, when they face the Philistine, they're gonna just go back to Egypt because I know my people. I know my people. They would rather face the slavery that they're familiar with than fighting the giants that they're not familiar with, that they don't know what the outcome will be. In Egypt, they already mastered and got used to the work that they were doing, so they would rather go back. So I'm not gonna take them. I'm not gonna take them in the shorter way. I'm not gonna take them to through the easy way. So unfortunately, God's ways are not our ways. He said his ways are higher than our ways. But the one thing that we can be assured of is that he work everything he works everything for our good, and he has our best interest at heart. And whatever he does, his will is perfect. Even when we don't understand it now. God, why am I not married by now? Why am I still single? Like, I do everything I could. I'm serving you. You see the desires of my heart. I want that. I ask you for that. I pray, I fast. Why not? His ways are higher than our ways. Sometimes he lead us through the Red Sea instead of, making us cross to that desert from the other side. But he make us go through the Red Sea, and he make us take the long way so that we don't go back. I pray that this encouraged you. I pray that God bless you. I pray that God help you to tend the garden of your heart and to guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. God bless you.